It's a bop.
It is. Theme music. Oh, we love it. Shout out yet again to the Weekend ladies. Top of every segment now. We are beyond grateful to be joined by Rasheeda McCallum. Thank you so much for joining us. Rasheeda is a chef, an activist, a mother, an incredible person, a community leader. She's a founder of Black Chef Movement and also Miss Goody's Kitchen.
She's a joy.
Welcome. You're a joy and a delight. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. I love that introduction.
We're here to hype you up.
Yeah.
I'm hyped. I'm ready.
Rasheeda, just to start off, since this is a food podcast, we just wanted to maybe ask if you had any favorite food memories.
Ooh, yes.
Either recent or growing up.
Okay, see, recent, I would definitely say yesterday. I did something fun for The Root. I was filming a Thai chili wing recipe.
Ooh.
That was so fun. So that will be up on my social media soon. And then in regards to childhood, I would definitely say porridge. It's something that we always made early in the morning. It stretches well. I grew up in a big family, so I just love cooking that. It's very nostalgic.
What was the porridge? Like what was
Cornmeal. It's cornmeal. It's like a cornmeal based porridge. It's very traditional in Jamaican cuisine. Mm-hmm. I remember one time when I went to college, I told my roommate about porridge, and she's from the South. And she was like, what? She's like, porridge? I think of, can I get this butter porridge, sir?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's exactly what I think of too.
And I was like, no, it's actually something real. Like, people eat it. So
how is that maybe different than grits?
It's very similar to grits, actually. It's very similar, but it's a little bit more sweeter than grits. Grits, I think you can eat it more on the savory side.
Sure.
But for porridge, we kind of season it with cinnamon, nutmeg, vanilla extract, a little bit of almond extract, and some condensed milk. And it's really good. And we eat it with bread. So, like, we have something called horo bread. We eat it with Jamaican horo bread.
Sounds so
oh
good.
my God, that sounds so
It's
good.
really good. It's really good. It's really good.
So what's the horo bread?
Hard dough bread.
Oh, hard dough bread. I was like,
I would have to compare it to like a challah bread.
Oh, like eggy? Like super eggy?
Yes. Very, very fluffy. You can, like, once you press down on it, it'll like bounce back. And you can put a little butter on it, stick it in your porridge, eat it, and you'll be good. If you eat that in the morning, you don't have to eat again until like the afternoon. Yeah.
damn. Okay, so but then the porridge is probably not so thick. Is it more of like a not liquidy?
Yeah, what's the consistency in terms of?
I would say like a loose grits. It's very like I'm trying to think of what else I can compare it to. Like, it's similar to like the cream of wheat, like a cream of wheat style breakfast. It's like it's something some people make it like loose enough so that you can drink it. Like, you can drink it from a cup. So, yeah, it's like something that if you're on the go, you can put it in like a canteen or something. Drink it while you're on the train in New York City. And
Look
when
out,
you get to work. Yes.
Porridge is looking for you.
And then you get to work, you're ready to go. That's it.
Damn, that's awesome. Well, thank you for enlightening us. This is
this
like
is making me crave porridge.
Yeah, like I was envisioning like, I had a birthday cake when I was 2. Like, you're like seriously dropping some serious recipes and knowledge. That's awesome.
Amazing.
Fantastic.
And Rasheeda, you and I met, I would say 2 years ago now.
2020.
In 2020, in the summer of 2020. I met you because I saw Black Chef Movement set up at Black Lives Matter protests. Could you tell us a little bit about Black Chef Movement?
So Black Chef Movement, we're officially a nonprofit. When we first met,
Congratulations.
we were a community-based organization in the beginning, and it's something that just happened by accident, where, prior to Black Lives Matter, the movement, I was actually just feeding people for the pandemic. And so when the protests began, I was just like, you know what, I have to get involved. But instead of doing it through Miss Goody's Kitchen, my business name, I was like, you know what, I want other chefs to get involved because we really need to stand together as a community. And so I reached out to other chefs that I knew, and together we called ourselves the Black Chef Movement. And so since then, we're still in the communities. We do a lot of food pantries now. And we really make sure that our food is serving the movement of social justice. So we really like to stay in touch with activists who are doing the work, and we like to make sure that we're in the community. A lot of the times when we go to different places, whether it's Queens, the Bronx, because we're really based out of Brooklyn, we have people walk up to us and say, Black Chef Movement, I know who you are. I met you at this place. And it's just a beautiful feeling.
Yeah, you've supported the social justice community so much in such a variety of different ways over the last couple of years. So before the murder of George Floyd and the resurgence of the Black Lives Matter protests, you were doing mutual aid through Miss Goody's Kitchen, right? And Miss Goody's is your catering company?
Yes, Miss Goody's Kitchen is my catering company. What I was doing before was meal prep. So my meal prep was actually targeted to like the Black and brown community, just because prior to that I worked in healthcare, and I noticed that a lot of folks didn't know really how to cook to keep themselves out of the healthcare system. So for example, if someone was diabetic or if they had hypertension, they really didn't understand, like, you know, I have hypertension, I need to stay away from salt. Here's how I can flavor my food so that it still tastes good but it's not salty. And so that was my main focus, and that's how I really got started in this mutual aid society.
Amazing.
So how did you get involved with the healthcare? Would you mind talking a little bit about your background in that, because that is such an incredible kind of way to get involved into mutual aid,
and also to get involved in food. The food industry is so huge. There's so many different career paths within food. And I don't think we often hear a lot about people who work in food through healthcare, through nutrition. So your background is also in nutrition too.
Yes. So fun fact, I was just telling someone this because I was just at the dentist, which is why I'm kind of talking with a crooked smile. And I'm like, I have a podcast, I have to go. But anyway, so she was like, oh, what podcast are you going to be in? I'm like, nibble and bitch. But anyway.
Gotta go, bye.
And she
plugging
was
us.
actually asking the same question. She was just like, it's so great that you could do so much different things with the culinary field. And so
Yes.
I actually went to Johnson & Wales University. It's a huge culinary institution.
Very prestigious, yeah.
Yes. And we have a campus in Rhode Island, which is like we say it's the best campus. That's where I went. Mm-hmm. And we have another campus in Charlotte, North Carolina. But I was actually in the culinary nutrition program, which is a very rigorous program. And through there, that's how I got the chance to study abroad. So I did live in Singapore and Thailand for a while.
Wow.
Which is why I did the Thai wings yesterday.
Amazing.
It was a great opportunity, and that's really where I really got an introduction to the nutrition field, and to really understand about nutrition therapy, and to understand what avenues I can take in my culinary career. So after college, I actually worked in healthcare as a manager for a while. I had like over 200 employees under me. It was very, very strenuous, but I did enjoy it. And while I was there, one of my tasks every day was I had to go around and had to round, which basically means you just visit patients. And so I had to visit patients, see how their meals were, and make sure if they wanted to see a dietitian, I would help schedule that for them. And that's where I met, a lot of patients, especially who were Black, brown, Asian, who really had questions and who really didn't understand their diet. And from there, I was really able to start Miss Goody's Kitchen.
Incredible.
That's incredible.
And when did you, how long ago was that? When did you start Miss Goody's?
I started Miss Goody's Kitchen, I want to say in 2018.
Wow.
Yeah, that's when I left the healthcare industry. Wow. Yeah, and I actually worked for the #1 healthcare system in New York City. So if you know what that is, if it comes to mind, that's who I worked for.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
But for like privacy reasons, so we just like not name checking, or?
No, I can say New York Presbyterian.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
That is a huge healthcare system.
Yeah.
So when you say you were doing rounds, like you would go into the hospitals and do rounds with actual patients that were staying in hospitals.
Yes, my office was in the actual hospital, and I would actually go upstairs. I had to go to different units, and we had a big facility, if you could imagine. New York Presbyterian, we're like located all over the city. And so I worked in the Lower Manhattan Hospital, and I also worked in the Queens Hospital. And, you know, working between those two facilities, I met so many different patients, and it's something that I noticed throughout my career that was a trend. You would have patients leave the hospital and be back a month later. The healthcare system is a short-term care facility. You're not meant to be there long-term. They treat you and then they send you on your way. They tell you to follow up with your primary care physician. And so if you're coming back for the same reason, it has to do with your diet, then that's a problem.
Fascinating. So what, do you mind if I just really quickly ask, like, off the top of your head, what are some things that, like, for example, that you noticed overwhelmingly, like this instead of this? I know you mentioned salt. What would be those seasoning, or what would be those
alternatives?
Yeah.
Oh, well, yeah, one of the, I guess I could say, illnesses would be hypertension, and that has to do with like your salt intake, and like your blood pressure level. A lot of times if you have an issue with kind of regulating your blood pressure, you really should watch your salt intake. So instead of adding pure salt or like something like adobo or even Lorry's, what people don't realize is that first of all, in those seasonings, the first ingredient in that is sugar, which I'll talk about more for like the diabetics. But you know, the second ingredient in that is pure salt, and that's something you should try to avoid. So instead, you can use marinades to flavor your food. That's something I did yesterday as well. You know, so you can take different herbs and blend them together and use that to add flavor to your food, opposed to just adding salt. And then another issue was diabetes. The diabetics, they really like to add a lot of sugar. So you really want to use something like agave that has a low glycemic index, because that's something that can really help you really regulate your sugar level.
Fascinating.
Those are some great tips.
Yeah, and it's always like you can take little steps. Little steps. You can say, you know what? On the weekdays, I'm going to try to eat like this, and on the weekends, I may indulge a little bit. No one's perfect. And I feel like with my catering company, I was able to have people really change their diet, but still enjoy food at the same time.
Yeah, you talked about adapting some comfort classics to be more health conscious.
Yes, definitely. One of the things that my customers loved, and what they love now, because I'm kind of getting back into the private culinary field, is that a lot of Caribbean foods, I like to take that and make it a little bit more healthier. So that's something that they always look forward to.
Incredible. So you were working with Miss Goodies after you left the hospital system, working directly with patients, directly providing food to folks who needed to incorporate food into their overall health landscape. And then when the pandemic hit, you focused on helping healthcare providers first. So you shifted your meal prep model as a lot of restaurants were closing, and focused your efforts on providing food to nurses and hospitals. Can you talk a little bit about that? That's an enormous pivot and an enormous organizational effort too.
Yeah, honestly, it just happened so naturally. I think now that we're in 2022, we can kind of talk about the pandemic, like, oh yeah, it's the pandemic. But I think
still raging.
Right, literally. But I think that some of us forget how scary it was in the very, very, very beginning, because we didn't know what this was. And so I literally had my old employees, my old friends who still work in healthcare, because I've been in the healthcare industry for so long. I know a lot of dietitians, I know a lot of doctors, I know a lot of nurses, I know a lot of people who work in housekeeping. They would literally be on the phone crying to me, scared for their life, because we didn't have enough PPE. We weren't prepared. So these are the people who had to go to work because they would lose their job. They had no option. So for me, the least I could do was cook food and give it to them. That was the least I could do. And so that's how I really got introduced to that, because I would be like, okay, how many people are on your unit? You know, she'll be like, oh, we're going to have this amount of noise. Okay, I can make meals for you and for everyone in your unit. At least that's one less thing, because a lot of them didn't even have time to go out for lunch.
No, incredibly short-staffed.
Where would they go? I mean, everything was closed.
Exactly. So it was crazy. And so that's what I chose to do, you know, with the time that I had. And I really did enjoy it.
That's incredible. What a scary time, and to respond to uncertainty and fear with such decisive action and utilization of your skill set is really impressive.
And selfless.
And
really.
Inspiring. It's really, thank you for doing that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I enjoyed it. Actually, it helped me. You know, we were all quarantining.
Yeah.
So, you know, it kind of gave me something to look forward to. I didn't want to just stay inside the house. At the time, it was just myself and my daughter. And I was just like, you know what? Let me just do this. This is what I can do. I want to do it. Let me help how I'm able to help. And so that's what I did.
Incredible. And then, go for it, Priya.
I was just going to say, I know a lot of you work with a lot of like plant-based foods. You try to go into plant-based, not exclusively, right? You just kind of sometimes prefer that.
When we first went out and were feeding activists, we did primarily do plant-based, and we tried to just make sure that there was something for everyone. In addition, because the pandemic at that time was mostly affecting Black and brown people the most. I don't know if you remember that. Everyone who was Black was dying. Yes. We were like, you know what? We're not going to go out here, even though, you know, this is a protest. We're not going to go out there and serve people chips. We're not going to go out there and serve people. And I know, Chet, that's something you could remember. I always push that, like, listen, we're going to do healthy, wholesome food. Mm-hmm. Don't bring anything that's, you know, overly processed. And so that's where we started, and we still do that a lot. Like the other day we did we have something called Fill the Fridges now with Black Chef Movement, where we fill friendly fridges with food every month all over New York City. And we have a partner called Your Pasta. They donated a whole bunch of pasta to us, which helps. So now that when we cook meals, we can make different pasta dishes, and everything that we gave away to all the fridges this month was plant-based.
Wow.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
Another thing you also pushed with and emphasized when you know, during the protests, and also that you still emphasize when people are donating things, is to also avoid as much as possible single-use plastics and choose environmentally friendly options for packaging as well, so as to really just reduce harm up and down the field in every which possible way, which is also remarkable.
Yes. So speaking of Your Pasta, so the company that we partner with, they're actually a pasta company that's based out of Brooklyn, New York. And, you know, there's huge pasta companies that we could have chose to partner with, but for us, it was really important to stay local. With this company, they actually make their pasta in Brooklyn. And what people don't know is that the larger companies, they actually take the flour from the United States and ship it to Italy. And then they make the pasta there and bring it back, because there's not enough flour in Italy for the amount of pasta that they need. This actually causes a huge carbon footprint. And so when we choose to really work with local companies, we're trying to really lower that and really be as environmentally friendly as possible. So for us, we're really pushing sustainability at the Black Chef Movement. I think that chefs don't realize that we really have a choice and we really can make a difference. And it depends on who we decide to work with and where we decide to buy from. And local and sustainability is something that's really important.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Incredible to be able to go ahead.
Oh, no, go for it.
I was just gonna note, like, it's amazing to take on, obviously, like a couple big issues at once, and then also make sure that your operation is supported by sustainable. Because, you know, I mean, like, you know, if I were thinking of trying to feed a bunch of people, I'd be like, well, I just want to be able to, like, you don't. It's hard to keep in mind of all of the little things to make sure that, like, you know, your whole action is supported by one another in like the most net positive way. Yeah. And it's really great that you had the mind to kind of see that.
When you also see how all of these issues feed into each other. And at the end of the day, Black and brown communities tend to bear the brunt of climate change, of nutritional gaps, of gaps in our food system, and in our healthcare system. So it's the intersectionality of all of these things and the way you've tried to move forward in your values and making sure that you're protecting the community that you serve in every way possible.
Yes, another thing is air quality. That's another big thing, especially in the Bronx. That's a lot of children in the Bronx suffer from asthma. I was originally born in the Bronx, so I can attest to that. I was asthmatic as a child, but they do all correlate in some way, and we want to. In the back end, we're doing the work, but soon we're going to start promoting that more on our platform, more about the sustainability section of the Black Chef movement.
Wow. That's incredible. And
so you guys got the first scoop on it.
Ooh, we got an exclusive.
Exclusive.
You heard it here first.
You had it here first.
Hey. I guess I also just wanted to back up a little bit and ask about the shift from that you made going on into the field, I guess, with the Black Lives Matter movement and showing up at protests, and to talk a bit about that shift and how you organized an army of volunteers for so many different protests. It seems like every single major protest that I went to in New York City, there was Black Chef movement providing water, providing nutritious food. So just if you could talk a little bit about that shift, go for it.
So I would have to say that a lot of that, what people don't understand, but Chet, you have a scoop on this, is that it takes a lot of work on the back end to organize this stuff. I would say probably about like 10% of the work is actually on the forefront, because it takes us days to really send out emails, calls, and just really organize to say, okay, you can bring this, you can bring that, okay, we're going to be here at this time, let's try to get in contact with some activists to find out where the actions are going to be. That's really the bulk of the work. And then once we get there, that's really the easy part. Aside from, the police and safety, which, we did have a lot of volunteers, and we had people who were, there just for that. That wasn't part of the Black Chef movement. We were really like the food people, like, hey, we have food. So people were kind of a little bit more lenient with us. But, that's really what it all came down to. I feel like I really was able to figure it out based on my background in management, because, there's always systems that have to get put in place before you get to step Z. You have to think of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and so on before you get there. And so anytime it came to an action or just putting together a new plan or a new program, like now with the Fill the Fridges, I always think about, okay, this is what I want to do, but how are we going to do it? And so I feel like because of that, we've been successful. There are a lot of organizations who have kind of like dwindled out throughout the years that were really around during the protest and in the community. And I feel like we've been able to stay afloat and still be very active because of that, because we plan and because we put systems in place and we stick to them for the most part.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a brain. I just gotta say, what a brain.
Organizing is exactly that. It's a lot of organizing. It's a lot. You'd be surprised how much of organizing is Google Docs.
Thank God for Google. Thank God for Google Docs. Seriously.
It is absolutely wild.
It is.
Incredible.
So if people wanted to get involved, right, like be helpful in this organizing process with Black Chef movement, how can they? I mean, I know we're in the pandemic still, but things, I guess more people are out and about. It's a little less of a tense situation to get involved with organizations. I'm sure people are curious and how can they get involved?
You can get involved by following us first on social media at Black Chef Movement. And there in our bio, we have a link to everything. So if you want to volunteer, we have a volunteer Google sign-up sheet that you can fill out to be on our email list and to be a part of our volunteer network. You can also visit us at blackchefmovement.org, where a list of all of our information, our different programs, our donation links. We have a calendar on it as well so that you can know what's coming up. Yeah, we're a busy group.
And is Black Chef Movement just New York based? Or are you kind of keeping it firmly in New York for now? Or are you branching out?
Our long-term goal is to have a Black Chef Movement in every state and then eventually all over the country, just because that's one of the things that people ask us for. So we're trying to really meet the needs that people are asking for. And there's always an action, there's always a need for social justice in almost every community. So we definitely want to be there for that.